Miyamoto Musashi was a legendary samurai warrior, renowned for his mastery of the sword. But little was known about his early life before he became a warrior. There were rumors and whispers of a secret past, but no one knew the truth. As it turns out, Musashi was born into a family of farmers and had a rather unremarkable childhood. He spent most of his time working in the fields and helping his family, with no aspirations for anything more. One day, while he was working in the fields, he came across an old man who was practicing swordsmanship. Musashi was fascinated by the old man's technique and begged him to teach him the ways of the sword. The old man agreed to take Musashi under his wing and taught him everything he knew about swordsmanship. Musashi quickly became an adept student, and before long he was able to defeat all of his opponents in duels. However, Musashi was not content with simply mastering the sword. He wanted to understand the deeper meaning behind the art of swordsmanship, and spent many years studying philosophy and meditation. Through his studies, Musashi came to understand that the true purpose of the sword was not to kill, but to protect. He realized that the art of swordsmanship was not about winning duels, but about cultivating inner peace and tranquility. Musashi's fame as a warrior and philosopher spread throughout Japan, and he was sought after by many who wished to learn from him. He took on many students, but he was always careful to choose those who were sincere in their desire to learn and improve themselves. One of his most famous students was a young man named Sasaki Kajiro. Kajiro was a talented swordsman, but he was also arrogant and lacked humility. Musashi recognized Kajiro's potential, but he also knew that he needed to teach him a lesson in humility. So, Musashi challenged Kajiro to a duel on a remote island. Kajiro eagerly accepted, thinking that he would finally be able to prove his superiority over his master. On the day of the duel, Kajiro arrived on the island, ready to face Musashi. But instead of a traditional sword, Musashi showed up with a wooden oar. Kajiro was taken aback, but he still thought that he would be able to defeat Musashi. The duel began, and Kajiro charged at Musashi with his sword. Musashi, however, simply sidestepped and struck Kajiro with his oar, knocking him to the ground. Kajiro was humiliated and embarrassed, but he also realized that Musashi had taught him a valuable lesson. From that day on, Kajiro became a devoted student of Musashi, and he learned to approach the art of swordsmanship with humility and respect. As Musashi grew older, he became more and more focused on his spiritual practice. He retired from the world of the sword and became a hermit, living in a cave and meditating for days on end. Despite his isolation, Musashi's teachings continued to spread, and he became a revered figure in Japanese culture. His legacy as a warrior and philosopher has endured for centuries, and his teachings continue to inspire people all over the world. As Musashi's fame grew, so did the interest in his life and teachings. People began to write books and stories about him, attempting to uncover the secrets of his success. But Musashi remained an enigma, and he kept his innermost thoughts and feelings to himself. He was content to simply live a simple life, meditating and practicing the art of the sword. In his final years, Musashi wrote a book called The Book of Five Rings, which has become one of the most influential texts on strategy and martial arts. In the book, Musashi outlined his philosophy on swordsmanship, and he imparted his wisdom on how to succeed in life and in battle. The book was a reflection of Musashi's own life, and it captured his spirit and his teachings in a way that no other book had been able to do before. It became an instant classic, and it is still studied and revered by martial artists and business leaders around the world. Musashi passed away in 1645, but his legacy lives on. He is remembered as a warrior, a philosopher, and a spiritual leader. He embodied the ideals of the samurai, and he continues to inspire people to this day. In the years following Musashi's death, his influence continued to spread throughout Japan and beyond. His book, The Book of Five Rings, was translated into many languages and became a staple in the library of martial artists, military strategists, and business leaders. His teachings on strategy, discipline, and perseverance were especially valued during times of war and political instability. Many leaders looked to Musashi's writings for guidance on how to navigate difficult situations and emerge victorious. But Musashi's teachings were not just limited to the battlefield. His philosophy of inner peace and harmony resonated with many people, and his ideas on self-mastery and personal growth continue to be studied and practiced to this day. Musashi's legacy has also been immortalized in popular culture. He has been the subject of countless books, movies, and TV shows, and his legend has become a part of Japanese folklore. But despite his fame and influence, Musashi remained a humble and introspective man. He never sought glory or fame, and he remained true to his principles until the end of his life. And so, the untold story of Miyamoto Musashi may never be fully known, but his teachings and his spirit continue to inspire and guide people all over the world. He was a true master of the sword, but he was also a master of life, and his legacy will continue to live on for generations to come.